from his studios in New York, it's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, hanging out with you inside of the Charney's Menswear and Tuxedo Studios. You're also watching on Facebook Live, facebook.com/live now. DT got the new shirt from the ACC Network coming off of ACC Operation Basketball, and the ACC will be in full swing tonight with a primetime game with your Syracuse Orange facing off against the Wolfpack of NC State in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was just, like I said, down in North Carolina, about an hour or so away from Raleigh, and we have that matchup coming up tonight. Both teams are 3-2. Both teams are 0-1 in the ACC, and they're both in the Atlantic Division. So the implications of where they're going to be after this game will directly affect whoever wins and whoever loses is going to be in a position to get their first win in the ACC. They're both in the same division, so they win that head-to-head. And one of these teams will go from 3-2 to 4-2, and another team will drop to 500. So a lot of implications going on in this matchup. And here with us to talk about Syracuse football is one of the greatest that ever put on that jersey, and that is Rob Drummond, close friend of mine, one of my closest friends, and one of the greatest people that I know in this world. So with that being said, and without further ado, let's bring him back onto the broadcast. He's also my co-host for our Wake Up Call game day for Syracuse football home games at the Wildcat Sports Pub. With that being said, Rob, how we doing?
Pretty good. How's it going, man?
I'm doing well, and I know you always laugh when I say how you doing and all that because you and I talk, and we talked yesterday, so it's all good. So what's going on? How's life?
Pretty good, except this is Syracuse, and fall's happening. Although I like the change of scenery and, the weather, I won't say weather, but the foliage in upstate New York around this time is absolutely gorgeous, I'm not a big cold weather fan, but it is Syracuse, and born and raised here, and it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's definitely cold this morning. Talking to Papa Joe, who's down in St. Augustine, he said it's only going to be in the 80s today. So, yeah, so their low is our high. Our high today is supposed to be, I think, 65 at some point, but it is sunny, Rob. You gotta focus on the sun.
I don't worry about it. As I said before, all you have to do is just drive around here, but up, in the suburbs around here, out in the country around here, and you just see how beautiful, Central New York, is. It's a beautiful place during this time, and that's something you really can relax with mentally.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to enjoy this and enjoy the fact that football is back after Syracuse has been gone for a week because of the fact that everybody gets a bye week, everybody gets a break. So Syracuse, actually this year you get 2 bye weeks. So let me start on that subject, Rob. I mean, the bye weeks are different, for teams. They don't all have the same week off, but they do have the opportunity to, obviously get a bye week, and now they have 2. What are your thoughts on the fact that there is now a double bye week in college football?
I mean, I think in a great landscape of things, a great thing for the players, for the simple fact that it gives you a chance to, physically and mentally, rest. People don't understand how grueling and how hard and how long football is. For college, it's a 12, 13 game season, and that's a long time beating up your body and mentally trying to focus and prepare for games. All fans are fortunate enough to see, if the game played on Thursday, Fridays, or Saturdays, and that's what they consider football. They don't see and understand how grueling it is during the week for these young athletes, not to just prepare themselves for the football games, but to go to class, to have a social life, to heal up, to work with their studies, to try and interact on campus. That's tough for an athlete. As I said before, many times, athletes wake up probably around 6 o'clock in the morning and really don't get a chance to lay down until around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. And that's with everything involved with school and, and the fact of being and not just a Division I athlete, or any type of athlete attending school. So it's a tough grind for these athletes, and sometimes just to get a break and just to relax yourself physically and mentally, it's a blessing.
Yeah, and that's the thing is to have that time away, to have that time to sit and think and reassess the situation. How important is that? You as a former player, when you have that week to sit with your thoughts and figure things out and take a look at everything, fans from the outside looking in say, all right, you lost the game. This is what you did wrong. Go and watch it, fix it, make it better, because I could see it on film, so you can see it on film. But it's not as easy as that. And in the grand scheme of things, by the time you're done on Saturday and, and let's say you end the game at 4:00 and you do your interviews and you take a shower and now it's 5:30. And before you know it, you're back in it. You got interviews on Tuesday night. Your coach is talking on Monday. You're doing your thing. You're prepping. You're watching film. To have not even a week in between these games to try and figure out and course correct is not an easy thing to do. And we talk about it all the time, like, you did this wrong, so fix it. As a former player, how difficult is it to come off of a game, see what you did wrong, readjust, spend some time with that, and then immediately jump into the package of, that's set in front of you, that scouting report for the next team? You really don't have that much time.
I mean, it's not difficult per se, but mentally it's draining.
Yeah.
It's a lot to remember, to physically and emotionally get yourself all worked up for a game. And then once that game is over, try and destabilize from that game and understand whether you won or lost, figure out what you did right and do what you did wrong and go on to the next game and next opponent and try and learn as much as you possibly can within, 5, 6 to 7 days that you have to prepare for that opponent. It's just a lot of work, and couple that with the simple fact that these kids are taking classes, and doing homework, doing their studies to try and graduate and get their degrees. It's just so time-consuming and a lot of work, and having a week off or, this time to just take a breath and take a step back is such a relaxing mental and physical, replenishment for these kids. It's unbelievable. You can look at it as far as average everyday life. Just think of how sometimes when you come away from work, how just to be able to just sit home, unbuckle your belt and just sit down and just sit in a sofa or anything and just relax for a second. It's the best feeling in the world, because you just get a chance to just sigh and be like, that day was done, and that's just a regular 9 to 5 for people. Now imagine being an athlete that has to, as I said, wake up at 6:00. Get all your classes done by 1 o'clock, by 1 o'clock, by 2 o'clock, get down to Manley Fieldhouse, sit in your class, you can go to team meetings, it's just a lot of work, and people really don't see the inside workings of what goes on in an athlete's, not just football player, but an athlete's life. Because basketball does the same thing, lacrosse, track and field hockey, soccer, tennis, whatever sport you may name. They all have a grind, their own type of grind, but they all have a grind to prepare themselves day in and day out for the week, for the weekly grind of being able to prepare themselves, not just for a sporting event, but also for class and social life on a university campus.
Yeah, that's the thing. Speaking here with Rob Drummond this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, live with you on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. And we thank you, whether you're listening or watching. We appreciate it so very much, live inside of the Charney's Menswear and Tuxedo Studios. Rob, like you said, it's mentally draining, mentally taxing. To go one step further, because mental toughness to me is something that's crucial for any part of life. It's crucial for life in general, whether you're dealing with a sport or you're dealing with a class or a relationship with a parent or a relationship with a significant other or your kids or whatever it may be, or a business. Just the importance of staying mentally tough, knowing who you are, and being able to handle what life throws at you, because I think mental toughness is one of the biggest things that we need to handle day-to-day life.
I mean, it separates good athletes from great athletes.
Yeah.
The one thing about athletes that continue to go on and have great success is you have to have short-term memory. And by that I mean, you have to realize, whether you played great or whether you played bad, you have to forget it. It's in the past now. You can't bring that game back, and you can't bring that contest back. So, leave it behind you and worry about the next task at hand. The year we went undefeated at Syracuse in 1987, Coach Mack would always say, one game down, one to go. You know, you can't worry about the games on your schedule. You can't worry about the games you've already played.
Yeah.
You know, because all you can focus on is the one you have in the next in front of you. So, you know, try and right the ship is what he always used to say. You have to just focus on preparing yourself day in and day out to be able to play that contest, whether I said to be on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. But you have to also couple that with the simple fact that these kids also have to be, collegiate students, academics, So it's a tough situation, but if you love it, you find a way in your heart to always go out there and try and give it your best effort. You have to go through trials and errors. You're gonna make some mistakes sometimes, But the one thing I would say, you learn from your mistakes. You learn how to not make them all the time and limit your mistakes so you can perform better the next time. So I give them a lot of credit for going out there and being able to perform at the high level they do, on and off the field, because I know how the work it takes and the dedication you have just to be successful.
Speaking here with Rob Drummond, a Syracuse football running back alum and our Wake Up Call game day co-host for our college football talk with Syracuse and so much more. Rob, for you, where is this team at? Like you said, you got to fix your mistakes. You got to get better. You got to try and find where you went wrong, and you have to look to excel. Where is Syracuse going wrong right now? I mean, the team is 3-2. They won the games they're supposed to win. They defeated the teams that, on the docket was the expectation to defeat Liberty and to defeat, obviously Holy Cross and Western Michigan. They struggled against Clemson, where they beat themselves, in my opinion, more than Clemson beat them. And then they struggled mightily against a team in Maryland, where they lost 63-20 on the road to Mike Loxley, the former offensive coordinator of Alabama. Where is Syracuse right now, and where do you need to see the improvement?
I mean, right now, I think Syracuse is a team trying to find their identity. I mean, let's be real. For the last year, when you thought of Syracuse football, what did you think of? You thought of Eric Dungy,
right?
The heart and soul of that team. And I had always said, they're going to miss Eric Dungy a lot more than they thought they were, because that kid had the heart and soul and drive of a lion. So right now, it's just Syracuse is trying to find their identity on offense, on defense, and special teams. We got great special teams, in our kicking specialists, and our returners, Sean Riley, but they still have to find themselves and find their identity on defense. Those guys were expected to come in and be dominant this year on defense. They played in spurts, but you can't be a successful team playing in spurts. You have to do it consistently and do it all the time. And offense right now, Eric Dungy is not there. He's not walking in the building putting on a Syracuse University jersey anymore. He used up his eligibility. So those guys just have to step up and make a name for themselves and stop worrying about the guys of the past. The Jim Browns, the Ernie Davises, the Dominick Pearsons, the Eric Dungy. Those guys are all gone. Make a name for yourself and go out there and do what you love to do as a child. And play this game to the best of your ability. If the fans boo, let them boo. Don't worry about that. You can't help but fair weather fans anyway. All you can do is just go out there and just play to your best of your ability. I understand it because I understand mistakes do happen. Made mistakes myself, but you can't worry about that. You can always correct a mistake. That's what life is about. You just go out there and do your best, find your own identity, and make a name for yourself. And that's all they have to worry about, and that's all they have to do.
Like you said, finding your own name and making your own name for yourself, figuring out who this team is, what's the identity, more so than trying to sit here and like you had said, going back to the past and being a Jim Brown or being a Dungy or being this or being that, to discover who they are. What are you seeing from Tommy DeVito, and what he's done? His completion percentage is 63.5%. He's completed 106 of 167 attempts. He has 11 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. The offensive line has struggled, and he's struggled. He's been sacked 18 times in their first 5 games, which averages a little more than 3 a game. And he has over 1,200 yards passing. What are you seeing from Tommy DeVito? Is he starting to find his identity, or do you think that he's still in a position where we're waiting to see exactly who he is?
The good thing is, I think the fans of Syracuse, the true fans of Syracuse, haven't seen the best of Tommy DeVito yet, and the best is yet to come. I think he's a young man who filled the shoes, or was put in the position where he had to fill the shoes basically a rock star at Syracuse. As I said before, the last 4 years, what have we heard when we talk Syracuse University football?
Yeah.
Eric Dungey. Which was warranted. The kid was a warrior.
Yeah.
So Tommy DeVito, you're not Eric Dungey. Don't try and be Eric Dungey. You're Tommy DeVito. So just go out there and play within your abilities and understand that you're going to make a name for yourself eventually. It's going to happen for you. Just keep working hard at it. Don't try and go out there and be who Eric Dungey was. Go out there and be who Tommy DeVito is. And that's all I would say to this young man right now. It's like, people have these expectations that these athletes are just supposed to step in and just all of a sudden, have instant success. It doesn't work like that. If people really understood how hard Division I college football was, they'd catch these young men more slack. It's a tough game with some talented athletes, and you're going to take your lumps every now and then, but you learn from that and you get better. They're getting better. They're going to eventually hit their stride and do what they're supposed to do and what they came to college for. Allow these young men to be able to have fun and go out there and play relaxed. When you play relaxed, you don't play tense, you don't play tight. I feel these guys are playing tight right now because of the simple fact that they get booed all the time because they're not the great team that we saw last year. That was last year's team. This is a new era. This is a new team.
Yeah.
So just go out there, just be yourself. Don't worry about what the papers say. Don't worry about what no one says. Play for each other. Play for the team. You don't win championships for Syracuse University and the town. You win championships for personal reasons for yourself because you play as a team. You're the ones out there practicing all the time. You're the one out there putting blood, sweat, and tears in it all the time. You're the one waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning and closing your eyes at 11 o'clock at night. Not us, not the fans, the coaches. I can say that also, but no one else. You as the players are. It's a team sport. You guys believe in one another. Just go out there and take it one game at a time, and that starts tonight at 7 o'clock. I think it is. Or
8 o'clock.
I don't know. I'll be ready for it.
Yeah. So I mean, a big time game and a prime time game that we get to see. Syracuse do this and play this game. A good opportunity for the nation to see them because there's only 2 games on tonight. There's only 1 game on ESPN. So, Mo Neal, you're a former running back, Rob. You and I have talked about him a lot. He's got 72 attempts this season, 317 yards, 4.4 yards a carry. He has 3 rushing touchdowns. If we go back and we look at him by years, because he played as a true freshman, and he kind of like you was used in different places. He was an H-back, he was used as a wide receiver, then now he's a traditional running back. So he had 68 attempts as a rookie, as a freshman. Then he had 92. If you take his 68 as a freshman and 92 as a sophomore, you add those together, it's 160. In his junior year, he almost had as many attempts in his first 2 years combined in just that 1 year to follow. 155 attempts last season, 869 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, 5.6 yards a carry. He averaged 5.3 yards a carry as a freshman, 5.3 as a sophomore, 5.6 as a junior. And I think that goes unnoticed because Dungey was there. And because Dungey ran the ball, I don't think people even knew that Mo Neal had 155 attempts last year for just shy of 900 yards and almost 6 yards a carry, which is something to be stated and appreciated because as I said, I don't think people necessarily saw it, probably glazed over it if they even knew about it because the focus was on Eric Dungey.
As I said, it was a fast-paced offense, and everything was centered around Eric Dungey, which it should have been because he was he was the conductor of that explosive offense, And I give Mo Neal a lot of credit because what this young man had to go through, to put himself in a position to be the starter.
Yeah.
As I said before, I was in a situation also with Michael Owens in the backfield and Daryl Johnson, where the carries were split amongst 3 very, very talented running backs, But at the time, we were a pretty dominant team, so it was no problem. We had no turmoil or anything, and all that team ever wanted to do was win. We wanted to win. It was never about one individual getting all the yards, getting all the stats, all the acclamation and glory and things of that nature. We didn't care about that. We just cared about winning. We just cared about making each other better each day on the practice field and in class and in the community. We were a very close-knit group, and we did everything together. When we lost, we took that loss personally together. When we won, we took that one victory together. Yeah. So it's a testament to Mo Neal, what he's gone through in his 4 years here, and what a great 4 years of watching that young man play a game that he loves to play, and do well. As I said before, I'm in his corner. I was glad to see him rush for over 2,000 yards in his career, and I didn't know that we were like the fifth team or sixth team, I think, in NCAA history to ever have over 20 running backs rush for 2,000 yards in their school's storied histories. And that's a pretty cool stat to be a part of, And now he has a chance, actually, the rest of the season, to be able to get up there and be along in the likes of my, Jim Brown, Ernie Davis, myself, Walter Reyes, and yards, with the running back is measured by yards per carry, and be ranked in that category, and that's something special. So I wish the young man the best. I'm always going to be in his corner, always rooting for him. Not going to worry about the Pittsburgh game the following week, because right now all he has to do is just focus on the game tonight. Yeah. If he goes out there and rushes for a lot of yards, great. All he needs right now, all he's thinking about right now, I guarantee you, is going out there and getting the win.
Yeah, and that's the thing is Mo Neal has always been a consummate professional. He's always been a good guy, a good young man. That's why I said that, him getting the accolades and him getting over 2,000 yards and joining that 2,000-yard club with, being the 23rd player in Syracuse football history to do it is an amazing thing. But the most amazing thing about it is who Mo is and just how he carries himself, the family that he has, the love that he has, the appreciation and respect that he has for his teammates is what goes far and beyond so many other things. So, I have all the respect in the world for this guy, and I truly believe that, if somebody is going to have, accolades and all this stuff, I truly believe that if you're a good person and you're well on and off the field, that, good things are going to come your way. And he's been extremely patient. And like I said, he's been used in multiple different positions and schemes and whatnot. And he's found a way to stay relevant, stay on the field, and stay successful. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, but more so as a human being, have a lot of respect for him as he moves forward. Outside of that, Rob, we look at the fact that one of the guys that came on my show here recently referred to Syracuse as the best special teams unit in the entire nation. A former player came onto the show and said that, and he's actually running for New York Senate, and that is Sam Rogers, the former long snapper of the team, said that Syracuse had the best special teams unit in the nation, looking at Andre Schmidt, as well as Sterling Hoffrichter and so on and so forth. And then other guys have followed suit, with former kicker of Syracuse, Nate Trout, coming on the show and saying that this is the best special teams unit in the country. It's not spoken about enough, but it needs to be. And so what are your thoughts on it? Former people that played on this team in special teams think it's the best in the nation. Andre Schmidt is the first person in Syracuse history to win the nation's top kicker award with the Lou Groza Award last year. Sterling Hoffrichter's playing his way into an opportunity in the NFL. I would imagine Schmidt's going to do that as well, and we know how difficult that is. And Sean Riley's a tremendous returner, and Aaron Belinsky stepped up and done his job as a long snapper. Just what your take is on special teams and the thankless job of it, and the fact that Syracuse has a very productive special teams unit right now.
The one thing that anyone who knows me will always say about me is that no matter, granted, I played at Syracuse, have love for Syracuse. I played in the NFL. I played for the Philadelphia Eagles, have love for the Philadelphia Eagles. But the one thing I'm not biased so much is where I'm going to say that someone's good just because, they're my family or they're my point. You have to earn that respect for me. That's the way I approach the game. I look at Syracuse special team, and it's hard to argue the simple fact that they probably are the best special teams, or at least kickers, in the country, with Schmidt and Hoffrichter. It's good for me to be able to sit here and be able to say that, because I'm tough on myself when it comes to that. So I'm definitely tough on people who I know should be going to be better, a lot better than I think. They're doing a great job in the special team aspects of their games. When you think about it, special teams is 1/3 of the game. There's offense, there's defense, and there's special team. If you win all three phases of those games, you'll win a game. If you win two phases, you can possibly win, but it's going to be tougher. If you only win one, chances of you winning are not good. Right now, some games they're good on offense, struggling on defense.
Yeah,
they were good on defense, struggling on offense. They've always been consistent and good on special teams, and I think the testament to their record this year has had the fact to do with they played well in all their games this year, all 5 games on special teams, and hopefully they can keep that up, which I think they will.
Yeah, Syracuse playing tremendous on special teams. And with that being said, I do want to get to one part of that before I let you go here this morning. Speaking with Rob Drummond, former Syracuse running back, played in the NFL and the CFL. More importantly, he's a member of our community, has been a member of our community, and continues to uplift our community and train its youth and help these kids to get better, help Central New York athletes to get noticed and get opportunities, because I feel like we don't speak about it enough and we don't do enough for them. So there's a movement to do more. Rob and I will talk about that in a second. But Rob, to look at what you've been in this community and being a true team player, I want to bring up a current running back on Syracuse's team, and that's Abdul Adams. And a couple games ago, he forced a fumble. He was playing on special teams. Now, he's a running back that gets utilized with O'Neal. He's a guy that, can get a bunch of carries. He's had touchdowns. He's gotten in there. They obviously utilize him in the offense. He's not the fourth string running back, not the fifth string guy. He's utilized in the offense. And when we see somebody utilized on offense or defense, there's a tendency of them not wanting to play special teams potentially, or the coaches not wanting to put them out there and risk getting them injured. Abdul Adams runs the ball and then runs down the field and forces a fumble and creates an opportunity for Syracuse. What are your thoughts on a current Syracuse running back who has a future with the school, who has success running the ball, being willing to go on to special teams and creating special teams plays that set up the offense to put him back on the field?
I mean, are you kidding me? As a running back who gets hit all the time, you actually get to run down the field and hit somebody else and tackle them? I actually did it my sophomore year at Syracuse. That was the most fun I ever had. It just goes to the fact of how athletic you are. It's a lot of respect for coaches to have and trust in you as a player to be able to put you on special teams. Especially as a runner or someone who touches the ball and who's valuable enough to score points for them, to put you in a position to be able to make tackles and have the confidence in you that you're talented enough to do that. That says a lot for that athlete. That says a lot for that young man. Whereas they actually used to, my sophomore year, they used to call me the hitman. I would love to run downfield and dish out the punishment instead of take it. So it's a lot of fun, but it says a lot about Abdul Adams and his athleticism, more so than it does the simple fact that he's playing on special teams, because they have the confidence in him, the coaches do, to be able to put him out there, and that says a lot to me.
Absolutely, and talk about being out there and doing things. You have been out there with RAPS, you've been out there with training, you have trained athletes from all different schools inside of Central and Upstate New York. You've reached out to teams and know these players, and it doesn't matter the sport, it doesn't matter the athlete, it doesn't matter the school. You've opened your door to everybody. You do that nationally and internationally with your RAPS training system. Just what you can say about what RAPS does, what you're looking to do, and the fact that the Central New York student athlete, really through your company and through your training and through your RAPS system, you're putting these kids in a position, and I can say this because I know that you're humble, but I can say it because I know what you're doing, and I'm going to give you props for this. You are single-handedly doing a lot of work to make sure that the student athletes in Central and Upstate New York get noticed, get opportunities like you had, and get themselves on a great career and a great trajectory. So first and foremost, thank you. And secondly, just what you can share about RAPS and what you're doing training-wise.
It's funny. I saw a social media post the other day by Michael Owens, and it was from the 1987 or the summer of actually it was the summer of 1986. Yeah. Which was led into the 87 season. So excuse me, the 80. No, wait, you know what I mean. But yeah, and it had a bunch of us on the Carrier Dome. I can't say Carrier. Oops. Carrier Dome turf, And it was myself, Rob Moore, Dwayne Kinnan, Michael Owens, Tony Moore was in the picture, Alvin Brown. I mean, there were about 30 players. And then the former players just started commenting. And they were saying, our old strength coach, Mike Wosick, we were trying to figure out where the photo was from. And he was like, everyone was like, guys, remember when Coach Wosick just, did a bunch of those tests we should have? We had the most fun, and we were in the biggest competition against one another, just trying to compete, to try and be the best. And I said to myself, I was like, oh my God, it's like, that's what RAPS, and that's what the one I developed for college, which I call it MCATs with an M, was all about. It was about going out there and taking these tests and competing against your brethren, against your brother, your your fellow athlete to get better, not to just get yourself better, but to get them better also. And then at the end of the day, after it was all over, Mike Wilson came up with a score to see who scored the highest, and the winners got like a free dinner or something from him or anything. But it was a competition that brought out the best in us, and I think we've lost that value as far as athletes getting better in this generation. Competition is what makes great athletes great. Yeah. And RAPS and MCAS, which is for collegiate athlete, is a system I designed that lets athletes compete against themselves and makes themselves great, but also in that same process compete against other athletes. When you compete, you find out where your value is. Say you go out there and you compete against a LeBron James and he blew you away. At that point now, you know where you stand, and where he stands. You can always get better. That's the one thing I always said in athleticism. Athleticism is just like anything else in life. If you work hard enough at it, you can always get better. If you rest on your laurels and assume that you've reached your ceiling, then you're not the athlete that you're going to be someday. You always have to want to have that inner drive to want to get better. And it's a system I have that basically, even psychologically, tells you if you want to get better, you will. You can. But you have to want it. I tell my sons this all the time also. I can't go out there and will you to be good. You have to want to be good. You have to wake up in the morning. You have to put that work in. I can give you an outline, but it's up to you to follow that outline and be great. So it's just a system that I understand for over the years that I've been working as a personal trainer and someone training athletes for close to almost 30 years. The CD athletes get better and want better for themselves. I was blessed and fortunate enough to be big, strong, fast, when I was younger, but I never knew what my potential was. This would have been a system that I would have told me early on in life what my potential was. And trust me, with my work ethic, I would have worked hard I don't think I could have been better, but I would have worked hard to be just as good as I was. But a lot of kids don't have that drive. I don't know what it is in this day and age, whether it's the video games or, no more certain things on television and in the technology age. This is a different era. But I want to be able to give these kids and these collegiate athletes an avenue, from my knowledge and my background in doing this and being successful in doing it, to be successful in themselves. Because my goal in life before I pass away, which I hope is a long time from now, is to see every child smile and get the most out of their ability. And understand what it is to have that ability and bring it out of them.
That coming from Rob Drummond here this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, that his desire, his job in this world, his wants in this world is to see every child smile, to see their potential, know their potential, reach their potential, and be successful. You can't ask for more than that, and you can't ask for a better person than Rob Drummond, in my opinion. Rob, before I let you go, a final piece here. I want to give some credit where credit is due, and you and I are all about this. In the Sun Belt Conference, Appalachian State is undefeated at 5-0 coming out of that conference. In the SEC, Florida and Georgia are undefeated. Alabama is undefeated. LSU is undefeated. The Pac-12 doesn't have any. The Mountain West has Boise State undefeated. The Mid-American does not have any undefeated teams, nor do the Independents, which includes Notre Dame. The Conference USA has none. The Big Ten has Ohio State and Penn State. Minnesota and Wisconsin all undefeated. Baylor and Oklahoma are undefeated in the Big 12. In the ACC, Wake Forest is undefeated, setting up for an awesome matchup, potentially coming up for the last game of the season, which will be at Syracuse here at the Dome. Clemson is undefeated. SMU and Memphis are undefeated in the American Athletic. So we got a good group of undefeated teams around the country that are representing the Sun Belt, the American Athletic, and so on and so forth. It's not just the SEC, it's not just the ACC. Teams like Baylor and Wake Forest are stepping up. SMU is the best that they've been in over 3 decades with Sonny Dykes in his second year. What are you liking about the college football climate in general right now?
It's so diverse right now. At any given point, I'm telling you right now, any one of these teams could possibly win the national championship this year. The Alabamas, the LSUs, the Clemsons, they're not the dominant teams anymore. They're all even. So I think we're going to have a surprise NCAA football champion, Division I champion this year, because the top half is absolutely stacked and everyone's completely balanced. The Power 5 conference is great and everything, but anybody can win this year. It's exciting to watch.
Absolutely, and it's going to be exciting to watch this weekend. Any notes, any thoughts as we are here with Syracuse and NC State facing off tonight at NC State in Raleigh, North Carolina. We're going to get into a deeper preview after we take a fast break. But, Rob, any final notes here with you on NC State and Syracuse?
You know, I mean, I just what I would like to see Syracuse just go out there and do is just stop trying to have an identity of someone else, of last year's team. You're not last year's team. You're this year's team. You know, you're the 2019 version of Syracuse University, so be the 2019 of the Syracuse University football team. You know, and don't worry about Eric Dundee, and don't worry about the bowl game you played last year. That's in the past. Just go out there, play relax, and just do what you do best. You know, just give us your best ever. You know, just it doesn't have to be great. You're gonna make mistakes, but try and put a game together on offense, defense, and special teams, and try and put a game together for 3 hours. That's all you have to do. It's 4 quarters. And man, just go out there and stop listening to the press, stop listening to the hype, stop believing all this stuff, all the greatness they say about you, because that means absolutely nothing once they blow that whistle, you know, and you step on a line across from your opponent. Go out there and play as hard as you can, make a lot of dust, and then when it settles, if you win, great. If you lose, find out what you did wrong and get back on that horse and do it again. That's what football is all about. It's just like life. You're going to get knocked down, but have the fortitude and have the desire to want to get back up and at least try again. And that's what I think these young men have to do. Just go out there, be relaxed, play the game within themselves, and be who they are. Don't be last year's team. Be the 2019 version of Syracuse University football.
And coming from Rob Drummond, when you get hit, you get knocked down, life is going to do that to you. You got to get up, you got to respond, and you have to at least try. Smarter words have not been spoken. Rob, as always, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. You know that. And I appreciate your kind words, because the things you're saying about football is what people can use in their life today, tomorrow, and the next day. So, as always, I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you had to say.
All right, Dan.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take it easy.
Take care.